Welcome to Teachings from the Masters with Daryl Shaun Price.
Hi, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So one of the biggest philosophical debates that has happened throughout all of history is this idea of free will versus destiny, of fate versus choice. And there are philosophers who fall on either side of this debate, and I want to kind of talk about those two forces today. But let's define what they are for this discussion. So free will is the idea that nothing is predetermined, nothing is decided. Every choice you make creates new ripples that now creates new opportunities, etc. And the idea of determinism or fate or destiny is that everything already has a pattern that's been pre-decided since the beginning of time, and you're just falling into that whether you realize it or not. So the illusion of free will is you just making the choices you were already destined to make. Now, many of you know that I lean heavily into Taoist philosophy, and this is one of the places where I think it really answers this old debate. And the reason I'm bringing it up today is because understanding these forces will give you a deeper understanding of how you are creating your present reality. So if we think of destiny, fate, the determinism as that force that is already pre-programmed, that pattern that exists in the universe that will always be. You were born to parents. You will have phases of life you go through from youth to adulthood to senior citizen, etc. And we think of free will as the decisions, desires, and the things that you choose to do as almost opposing forces that meet in the middle and create this present moment. So when you look at it that way, and I don't even like to say opposing forces, they're balancing forces. It is like the symbol of the yin-yang. So what you've got is you've got all of these things that already exist, all the experiences you've already had, all the perceptions, all the beliefs, that could be considered the destiny. That's just quote unquote the way things are. And then you've got your free will where you've got these desires, the things you want to do, the things you want to shift, the things you want to change. And they push in from different directions on the now that is the only thing you're experiencing. So the Tao teaches to stay at the center, follow your natural responses, and everything will work out. And this is what I teach as well. When you are in alignment, when your spirit, heart, mind, and body are in sync, you will naturally create your happiest life because you will manifest miracles and follow the peace. And we all know, for example, that no matter what cards are dealt into your hand of life, you can still change that. We all know stories and stories and stories of people who did not get a good hand in life and changed that and made something great out of it. So, and let me kind of go deep. Let me really take some examples here. So, if you watch somebody who is determined to create what they want no matter what, you will see they've got a great force of will. We call these people determined. We call them picking themselves up by their bootstraps. We watch these people work and push and hustle. And that is taking that free will energy and pushing it so hard that it's taking this present moment and moving it this way, pushing against the destiny side, the pattern side, the cycles that always occur in nature. And when they push harder and harder and harder and harder, yeah, they can get pretty far until a certain point, and then it just kind of breaks and everything comes back. This is where you see the people with the midlife crisis is just losing it, and they're abandoning everything, and I'm now going to sell everything, and I'm going to go live as a hermit in the woods because modern life sucked and I wasted all my life on it. That is definitely not an easy path. And the reality is this. Yeah, you can force or fight, use your free will to push as hard as you want the other direction and not stay at the center. But eventually that will snap and come back. Or you can do the other. You can just not worry about free will and let the destiny side, the predetermined, that's the way things are mentality push really hard this direction. And you usually fall into a victim mentality of like, the world sucks and it's scary and we're all just going to hell in a handbasket and this is horrible and there's nothing you can do about it. That's just the way things are. And well, life sucks and then you die. or the people who have determined that there are certain elite chosen people that they just are the way they are and nobody else gets to come up here and we're going to stop people from growing and rising because we're the elite and we're the chosen and you're not. And we all know, and we've seen it in society, as that pushes this way too hard, eventually that snaps back as well. And we've seen it over and over again in historical patterns, from oppressed people now getting more rights to people now getting to do more things than they were ever allowed to do under the old way of everybody has a specific place in society. Or over and over again, we've watched people play the victim card so much that that's the only thing they get in life. You know, years ago, I was in a relationship with a woman who was a single mother that loved to just define herself by single motherhood and how horrible that was. And over again, I watched in her life as she kind of tried to step out of that and build something new and put a little bit more free will. But then one little thing would be a bump in the road and it was like, nope, throw that out. I need to go get Section 8 and I need to get food stamps and I need the world to take care of me because look, I'm a single mother and a single mother is horrible and I just need to be taken care of. I'm a single mother. But I watched when she did put a little bit of the free will energy on, things would start to happen and miracles would start to align for her. But then the moment anything didn't go exactly the way her mind expected with her current beliefs, she would let that go and boom, this side pushed in a little more. So let me see if I can explain this balance a little easier. I want to make sure you guys are understanding how you are creating your current reality with these two forces coming in at either direction. So if we look at the destiny side of these forces as everything that you have currently perceived and your current beliefs, and we look at the free will side as everything that you desire and your internal desires to be something different. So here's what happens when you stay at center. You are aware of both equally, the yin and the yang. You're aware of both. These things are happening. This is what I've created. This is the way things are because I created them that way. Because those are my perceptions. Those are my beliefs. This is everything that has been patterned and predetermined up to this point in my life. I'm aware of my desires. I feel like I can achieve that. I have a belief that I can be something more. And when you stay at the center between those two, here's what happens. Your attention, your consciousness, the thing you control is always going to be on the free will side. Always. So if you're letting this, the destiny, push a little much, what you're doing is saying, yeah, my attention and my free will is shrinking to just accept that that's what it is. But your attention is always here. So when your attention starts to be on this is who I want to be, this is what I desire to be, this is the experience I want, this is what I want to create, and you're not doing it from a place of I have to push and hustle and prove myself to make it happen, just paying attention and being aware, and then aware these things are already happening because they're created. That's when the miracles happen in the middle, because you don't have opposing forces fighting. You have balancing forces creating. And it happens something like this. So you want financial freedom. I'm using that as an example. It can be anything you want. You want financial freedom. You want the ability to not have to work for a living, to have all the money you want, to have more than enough to do what you want when you want without sacrificing yourself. And you start to feel that and you start to internalize that. You start to pay attention to that. But you're also aware this is what you're experiencing right now, and you accept that without attachment, without fighting, without forcing, without giving up. Just accept and be aware of both. Well, because your attention is on those desires, that energy starts to shift, which starts to create new experiences that match that within the filters that you've already experienced. So I've told this story in the last podcast episode, but I'm going to tell it again. So for example, having a car that was okay get totaled so I can get a brand new car that I never thought I would qualify for. Sure, I may have been able to get a brand new car without having to total that other one, but that was the experience I was having. So that miracle happened within this that was already patterned based on the vibration I already was putting out. And that brand new car does not change or hurt my financial situation. It just was a dramatic way to shift from one car to the next because of the patterns I already created. It is within those patterns that are already created that the miracles will happen, as long as your attention is on who you want to become. And you need to allow them to happen. This is why you don't push against this, because the easiest way possible is to take what already is and shift it slightly. Wreck this car, get a new one. Call this person, get a new house. Reach out to somebody, have them hand you all the money you need for something you want to do. All of that are pieces that existed here that you may not have been aware were already lined up and easy to switch. But the energy of you being this person and saying, this is who I really want to be, will switch it automatically. So it's this negotiation between the energy of the patterns that already exist, that have already been created by who you have been up to this point and what you believe, and the energy that now is growing and becoming new and taking root because you are paying attention to and putting your attention on who you want to be. When those two meet, miracles happen. There will not be a lot of logic behind it. It will just be miraculous. You will have random calls. You will end up bumping into people. You will have opportunities you never thought were even an opportunity because you stayed at the center. So how do you know if you're at the center or not? This one's simple. Right now, I want you to pay attention to how you feel. How you really feel. Not just, oh, well, there's stress and there's this and I'm okay and it's neutral. No. Are you at peace? Is your spirit, heart, mind, and body in alignment so that you feel peace? When you are in a state of peace, you are at center. That is the state in which miracles will happen always. This is why it's so important. And I know I repeat some of the same things over and over again, but it's because they're that important. This is why it's so important that you live in alignment. And that should be your only focus. Before I ever decide what I want to be and become aware of what is, I make sure I'm in alignment. I make sure I'm at peace. And if that's all you did, you would stay at center and things would work out miraculously anyway. But being in alignment is about you not putting attachment to everything that has been, or even to exactly how things are going to work out for you to become who you want to be and the experiences you want. It is being aware of the present moment exactly as it is, the desires and the experiences, while you are focused on being at peace. So yeah, that's your daily routine. Live in alignment. In that state where your spirit, your heart, your mind, and your body are in sync. Where you are focused on that energy above all else. Then and only then, when you're in alignment, decide which desire you want to create. And as you start to put attention on that desire from a space of alignment, be aware of what's happening and accept it. And anything that happens, you follow the peace. When you're in that state of alignment and peace, anything that happens that feels like that, you follow it. Anything that happens that doesn't, you don't. You know, we've had this experience a few times. I think that you're probably aware by now, if you follow this podcast at all, that we are about to move across the nation. In fact, this is the last podcast I will be recording in this location. The next one I will be recording from Belfast, Maine, where we're moving. But as we've been moving, there's been lots of fun and miracles that have been happening over and over and over again. I had a gentleman that I worked with probably 16 years ago reach out to me and say, hey, you remember that job we did? It just dawned on me that I got overpaid because they sent me the pay that was due to you. Here's another $600. Well, that's nice. That covers this expense. We had somebody reach out to us and say, hey, can I pay you to transport something from here to here? And it'll cover the whole cost of the truck you're renting. Sorry, the whole cost of the gas for the truck you're renting. Let me not misspeak there. And of course, people would say, well, yeah, take it. Are you kidding? That's free money. But no. You follow the peace. And we sat and we talked about it and said, no, we don't really want the hassle of transporting something else, so no thanks. And of course, the logical mind will say, well, but you're ridiculous. That's money that pays for the gas. You don't have to pay for it out of pocket. Free money, free money, free money. Yeah, but I live so abundantly, I don't need the free money, and I can say no to it anytime I want. And I don't say no to it because of anything logical. I say no to it because it didn't feel like peace. And we have no clue what would have happened. Maybe the thing we're transporting gets damaged. We become liable. Now we're in a whole mess that we don't need to deal with. Maybe it ends up adding way too much time to our trip. Maybe the animals that we're transporting with us, yes, we are traveling with 5 dogs and 2 cats because we're amazing, insane, and love our babies. But maybe it would cause issues for the animals and we needed to get them there sooner. We don't know. The only thing I know is it didn't feel like peace. And by following that, miracles will happen. And this keeps happening in my life, and it will happen in your life too. But you got to stay at the center. It is not your job to force or fight to make things happen. It is not your job to just accept things are the way they are and you can't change anything and give your power away to all the patterns that have currently existed. But when you stay at the center between those two forces, you allow miracles because you created both forces. Those desires are the breadcrumbs from your spirit of where to pay attention in the physical experience to be in more alignment. Those patterns, that destiny, that idea that things are just this way and you have to do it this way, are what you've already created with the beliefs you have. So staying at the center between those forces allows you to be the alchemist that can take those energies and transform them into any experience you want. Stay at the center. Follow your natural instincts. In other words, follow the peace, and everything will work out. Because you are the creator. And I want to repeat this. You are the creator. Everything you're experiencing, you created. Everything you're going to experience, you are creating. And that's your purpose in life. To take energy, to alchemize it, and to create experiences from it. That's why this entire life exists, is for you to master turning energy into matter and experiences. So I want you to really take a look. Where in your life do you feel like it is fight or force and I got to push and push and push to make things happen the way I want them to? Well, then it's time to ease up and just let things be the way they are. Where in your life do you feel victimized and like you have no power, or you don't trust the way things are, or everything out there seems out to get you? It's time to ease up and just accept with gratitude. This is the experience I'm having. You know, there is a famous phrase from the Bible that is used over and over again to talk about when hard things are happening in life. It says, this too shall pass. Well, that phrase applies to every experience you are having. Let me try that again. That phrase applies to every experience you are having, good, bad, or neutral right now. This too shall pass. It's just an experience, which is the current reflection of your will and the patterns you've already created, or destiny, or fate, meeting in the middle to create this present moment. Shift your attention, and this present moment shifts with it. So whatever this present moment is, it will pass. And the next one is going to be the next reflection of that alchemy of those two forces joining. So yeah, the more you stay at the center, the more both of those forces meet as equals, and miracles are your way of life. Because there's nothing greater than the power of you. So when you're in alignment, when you are at peace, no matter what is happening outside of you, you're at the center. You can combine those forces and those energies to create any experience you desire. When you live in alignment, you will naturally create your happiest life and manifest miracles. So follow the peace. Accept with awareness everything and just follow the peace. I promise you will see your miraculous life unfold quickly. See you next time.